Welcome to this fall ball post-game media edition of Talking Hoosier Baseball. I'm Carl James. Today is Sunday, September 18th, 2022. On Friday evening, the Indiana Hoosiers hosted Eastern Illinois in a 14-inning fall ball exhibition matchup. The Hoosiers were victorious by a score of 24-12. Chris Feeney and I caught up with head coach Jeff Mercer following the game. Wow, what a performance by Devin Taylor tonight. So what have you seen from him so far this fall, and how did that kind of translate in what he was able to accomplish tonight?
You know, I kind of talked to him for a moment there. I said, you know, it's pretty cool to watch him finally get to play. My first week at Indiana, first week on the job, I went and I remember watching him when he was, I think it was in 8th grade at the time, and watching him play and started recruiting him as an 8th grader and watched him be such a good player through high school and then to see him play out here today and have everyone else say that was just a pretty cool moment, kind of the flashback of that whole the history of that. But you know, you get players that are really talented players, right? And then you get players that are incredibly hard workers, and not always you get the blend of both, where you get a player that is very talented but works like he's never accomplished anything. And that's how Devin works. He's an incredibly hard worker. He's really kind of latched on with a couple of those upperclassmen, with Ellis and Glasser and those upperclassmen, and he's with them all the time. And so he does a really good job of staying in the middle of the field the other way, as we saw tonight. And he settles in with 2 strikes and puts the ball in play. And you know, he's worked really hard to learn to play first base. He played a little bit of first base in high school, but not a ton. Was a primary outfielder, and you know, he comes in. The first fly ball is a high fly ball to left center, and it's like, I guess, your baptism by fire. The first pitch you're playing defense, he makes a really nice catch on it, and then played a terrific first base and has worked really hard over there at it. So he's very gifted and very talented. But I would be remiss to not really applaud him for his incredible work ethic, and you just don't always see the combination of both from such a young, talented player. And he's got incredible parents, a great family, and you know, he's competed. He played for the Midland Redskins for several years. I think when he was 16, he played up with Midland, and then obviously 17 years old as well. And so he was challenged and pushed, and he's risen to that occasion and came out and played great today.
Speaking of a guy who we know has a great family, a great upbringing, Josh Pyne starts it off real big. Yeah. You know, talk about him a little bit, what you've seen from him in the offseason or early here in the fall. Yeah,
you know, Josh, you have to commend him. He played with a leg injury for about the last half of the year last year and was really banged up. And so this summer he rehabbed and rested, and you know, our group, our training staff, and the people in the medical department over there did a wonderful job getting him healthy. And he's just I'm really happy for him to see him healthy. And you know, he's so tough, he's so competitive, and you saw him do some things today that kind of that next logical progression where he was able to really turn on some fastballs and leverage counts and put some good swings on it. Played great defense again, like, you know, it's kind of his trademark defense. And you know, just he's really worked hard this summer, and I'm really glad to see him healthy.
We're in the past, at least in the falls, it seems like your pitchers have generally been very fastball heavy, and that seemed to not be the case as much tonight. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, it's a great point. And we had, you know, 5 or 6 arms that aren't worked up yet, and so we held those guys out today. They're all healthy, but just they weren't worked to their thresholds yet. So it was good to see so many young guys in there, and we really have tried to make an investment in recruiting to guys that have the pitch ability, to have 3 and 4 and 5 pitches, and enforce those traits, one in recruiting, but also in the development early on. And that was an off-season point of emphasis for us, to be able to really mix and force guys in situations that, you know, 2-0 changeups and 2-1 break-on balls, and really not be so fastball dependent in their repertoire. So they did a really good job, especially for some of those young guys, you know, 5 or 7 freshmen in there that haven't pitched before. So to see them go in there and really mix and be able to land multiple pitches was terrific. And then I thought they held the run game really, really well. They've worked really hard to do a better job of managing that and be comfortable with that, and they executed that as well. So yeah, it's a great point. We've really tried to focus on the recruiting. You know, all of the guys that threw tonight weren't, you know, Craig was with the program last year but was injured. all those guys were new guys, and so we have tried to make more of an emphasis on that in recruiting, and then also really forcing that, they're pushing the tempo with their pitch selection in practice as well.
Another change, it seemed like, for at least for this fall, playing games so early.
Yeah.
It seemed like you really wanted to do drills a lot more early on in the fall, and now here we are ready to fall ball game.
Yeah, that's a great point. It was a bit of a change of direction for us. Once we knew that we were going to return the majority of the offense, that we knew that there wasn't as much of manicuring swings and changing swings. We knew those guys were going to be closer to ready to play. And then the reality is we felt like playing so early would help us to be able to set the tempo for the fall. Whether you win or you lose today, there's so much information that can be gained early on. And as a coach, your job is to set the standard and to be able to set the expectations. But if you can remove the impediment of not seeing it in real time, right? When we don't cover first base on the bunt, they scored multiple runs. When we have misplays in the outfield with guys on base, they scored multiple runs. And so when you do those things in practice, you roll the inning and you move on, and everyone kind of brushes to the side as, well, there's Coach Mercer or Coach Glenn or Coach Simmons or somebody kind of being, a meanie. It's like, no, those things impact winning and losing. And so putting guys in the environment really early on, the intent was to show those things to the guys, and then to allow them to learn what's going to impact at a high level, and then they can go set their own standard and their own expectations. And it's not quite as, hey, just trust me, or hey, believe me. It really is a matter of, I've seen with my own two eyes, I believe it, and now we can go have the rest of our fall. Instead of waiting through 6 or 8 weeks of practice and then go play, whether you play well or not, you felt like we weren't utilizing the opportunities as well to kind of set the tone and how we want to play.
Was it a conscious decision to go Division I for both fall games?
Yes. Yeah, it was. And we've played junior colleges in the past, and they've been great. But sometimes you can have some of the depth of the rosters. The pitching can be, I want to be respectful because we played really, really good junior colleges. They've been terrific. But I felt like it was important to make sure that we push ourselves as much as we could through the entirety of the day, and to play guys. They have some really good players. They have a bunch of 5th and 6th year guys, and do some good arms. And you go out there and you make mistakes, they're going to beat you. And they did exactly what we needed them to do, as far as our players going out and competing against a good team, and to put ourselves in situations where when you do those things, you get punished, and you have to learn those things early on. And so to bring a good team in, and then to go to next week to go to Indiana State, it was important. We wanted to go on the road. Obviously, Mitch Hannes and the Indiana State program is terrific, and to really challenge ourselves early on. And again, you succeed, you fail, whatever you do, but you learn a ton in the process.
One last thing, Evan Goforth, you got a lot of time at second base, and that's really kind of your one position that you're kind of changing over. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I like the infield group. George Zagoti's not healthy yet, but he's another really good player. Tyler Cerny is a terrific young player. And then Evan. Evan played really well for us last year and earned the opportunity to come out and start today and have the first crack at it. And those guys are going to really push him. Evan's, he's such a good kid. He's such a great student, a hard worker. He's a student of the game, and has elevated himself to becoming a really good player. But there will be a lot of competition for that. I think when you get some of those other guys, Joe Grinchwick, he's a really fine young player. They're going to push those guys in the middle, and yeah, you're right. Second base is an open position for us, and I felt like he deserved the first crack at it and played throughout the entirety of the day. But those other guys are really good players too.
That concludes this media edition of Talking Hoosier Baseball. The Indiana Hoosiers will wrap up their fall ball slate in a road game against Indiana State in Terre Haute Saturday at noon. We will be on hand. We'll have postgame after that game as well. Plus, we'll try to keep you updated via social media in the meantime. Keep an eye on iubase.com for various developments as the fall progresses. Even after that game, the team will be doing a lot of intra-squad scrimmages, and we'll try to bring you as much coverage as we can of how things are progressing as the team prepares for a big 2023 spring. See you at the BART.